no cap. Shout out to Music Bob, and most importantly, most of them, shout out to y'all for tapping in. Most importantly, shout out to Music Bob for the simple fact that he been tapped in ever since, like, I think around 700 subs. He was commenting, you know what I'm saying, me reacting to his stuff. But this is the heartbreaking story of DMX, one of my favorite rappers. From what I understand, he had a hard upbringing, you know, just wanted some attention from his mom, you know, she was abusive. She knocked out his front teeth, stuff like that. And then somebody he trusted, you know, laced him with drugs, and then it just went up and downhill from there. But without further ado, we're going to get straight into the video.
Tupac and Biggie passed away, many thought that we would never again hear another hard and cutthroat gangster rap. But in the late 90s, the world heard DMX.
Give it to you, give it to you, give it to you, give it to you. Make me lose my mind. Up in here, y'all gon' make me drop. Don't stop. Whoa. Whoa.
Most of DMX's tracks are filled to the brim with feelings of anger and aggression because these negative emotions haunted him his entire life. When he was just a kid, he endured severe beatings from his own mom. He also ended up in juvie. At just the age of 14, he tried weed and crack for the first time, and he was introduced to theft and a life of crime. All this took a toll on his mental health from a very early age. So let's begin this heartbreaking story from his early childhood days. DMX, whose real name is Earl Simmons, was born on December 18, 1970 in Mount Vernon, New York. The future rapper was the second child in his family. His mom already had a 2-year-old daughter when DMX was born. As a child, Earl often got sick, and he inherited a number of illnesses and allergies from his mom, as well as asthma from his dad. Additionally, he got hit by a car when he was a kid. He got away with just a scratch, but the driver who hit him was drunk and he ran a red light. The insurance company was willing to pay out the family $10,000, but X's mom told the insurance agent that they didn't need the money because they were Jehovah's Witnesses. He often attended various church services and was also well-versed in Christianity.
What is that supposed to mean? For y'all that is religious and stuff like that, what is that supposed to mean? Like, he got hit by a car to cover certain things, you turn down the money. And it's not really about the money, but it's like, let me know, what is that supposed to mean?
Little Earl Simmons was a bright student, and he had the ability to learn new things quickly. His mother was not the least bit interested in the successes of her son. So, whenever he wanted to share his joys with her that he had learned something new, she would always answer him with, "Son, go to your room. Adults need to talk." And oftentimes, these adults were men who were brought home by X's mother.
You never got to have that mommy experience.
Damn.
No. And she never, not once, not once she ever told me that she loved me.
The lack of attention received from X's mother led him to the streets. He began to walk out late without permission, sometimes skipping school. He engaged in petty theft in local supermarkets. And all of this, in turn, further alienated them from each other. Ultimately, his mother decided that the best way to subdue a disobedient boy was to beat him like a man, to hit him hard, and hit him mercilessly. Extension cords, hangers, brooms, and sticks were used. And when his mom realized that this did not help, she decided to keep Earl locked up. She did not allow him to take walks or to communicate with local children. His social circle consisted of homeless children.
But it's like, if he looking for something and you not giving it to him, it's basically your fault. As a parent, you can only blame yourself, and you beating him and you knocked out his 2 front teeth, and it's just too much, man.
Children who lived in the neighborhood. The only home that he could go to be consoled was his grandmother's house from his dad's side. There, Earl was always welcome.
Sorry to keep pausing, but yo, my grandma passed, so it's like, that song touches me in a different way. Pause. Like, that song really warms my heart. I forgot who else it had on the song with him singing. I think it was
with
Faith
open arms.
Evans, I think.
His grandma always cared for him and allowed X to take walks outside. In this particular house, he was truly loved. However, the constant physical punishment and imprisonment at home seriously shook the psyche of little Earl. This resulted in acts of aggression at school, such as throwing chairs at classmates and insulting teachers. In the end, X's family was brought to the attention of social services, who came to the conclusion that the mother was unable to cope with her son and that he should be sent to a boarding school. During his 18 months there, he was able to become one of the brightest students at the school. He found himself a white friend and learned to earn a bit of money, but his problems never decreased. In addition to minor fights and conflicts, Earl, along with one of the students, had accidentally burned down one of the buildings of the school while playing around. X was accused of arson, but his partner got away with it. Earl was isolated again. He was forbidden to visit common places, including the dining room. After boarding school, X decided to enroll in a school for high achievers in a wealthy neighborhood. However, he was quickly transferred to being homeschooled. His mom continued to beat her son, and sometimes Earl didn't even understand why he was being beaten. As soon as he grew up a bit, he was able to defend himself. That is when his mom resorted to beating him in his sleep. The beating continued until he would choke and beg for mercy.
In his sleep?
She would then drive him to the hospital as he would be suffering of an asthma attack. It was at that moment that he began to think about killing his mother. He came up with multiple scenarios, but in the end, he abandoned this idea because he understood that no matter what she did, he will always love her. He had a dad who was homeless and earned enough money for food by selling his own paintings. They often met up, but his dad eventually left, which caused DMX to resort to the streets once again.
Even though he wasn't there, I don't really know him, but I know enough to know that I'm glad he didn't raise me.
Is that disappointing?
Nope. And when I first met, I was mad. You know, I had to, what was your... In a calm voice, he explained to me. I was homeless.
After a while, he started to come back home, not alone, but with company in the form of stray dogs. And his mother, naturally, did not like that. He began to hide them on the roof and sleep next to them. DMX himself said that he appreciates the loyalty in dogs. In addition, they gave him security on the streets.
A dog doesn't know how to lie to you. A dog doesn't know how to be fake. It is what it is.
His mom then took him to the Children's Village shelter under the pretense of a tour and left him there. 6 months later, X was waiting to be taken home for the holidays like all the children there. But his mom called the shelter to tell them that X shouldn't return home. He was the only child at the orphanage who was not taken home during the holidays. The anger and hatred he had against his mom began to grow and get fiercer. It is hard to imagine what the little boy felt at that moment. However, he found an advantage of staying at the shelter as he began to get introduced to hip-hop there. He took his first steps towards composing rhymes, but he eventually settled on beatboxing. He took on the nickname of one of the best and most popular drum sets at the time, the DMX. After 18 months of good behavior, the shelter let the guy go home, if you can even consider it a home. He despised family life, so he slept on the streets and in garbage cans. Also, X got a new dog named Blackie, whom he took from a landfill. He also attended one of the Yonkers middle schools, which had the worst reputation. During his 1 month of stay at school, he realized that he would remain poor, since at school, even good grades did not give any privileges. His mom couldn't provide for him, so he resorted to theft. His first victim was a lady walking out of a supermarket in Yonkers Getty Square. Jumping out of the bushes, he snatched the purse off her shoulder and sprinted away. The score netted him $1,000 in cash, which he used to buy his dog Blackie a new leather collar and harness, and himself a pair of Timberlands. He robbed passers-by, but his appetite grew, and he began to eye local drug dealers. He would just wait for the so-called end of the dealer's working day, come up to him, and take all his cash from him. Robbery had become commonplace for him. He robbed 3 times a day, and then he found himself more like-minded people at school, and robberies became easier and more accessible.
Yeah, it became a thing.
By the way, about drugs, he didn't know just how much he would suffer later on after he tried weed and crack. The joint was given to him by Reddy Ron, a local rapper and Simmons' future mentor. He tried this filth at the age of 14.
The name sounds familiar.
In 1986, his faithful friend Blackie was shot dead by the police, and DMX went to juvie for 2 years. However, he didn't stay there for too long, as he escaped and returned to his grandmother. A few days after regaining his freedom, his mom came knocking on their door alongside the cops. She said that her son needed to be responsible for his actions and that he should go back to jail. After getting out of jail, he acquired a new hobby, stealing cars. On a joyride...
What's crazy is she didn't even care for him or really want him, but made it her effort to come with the cops to put him back. That's weird.
In the Hamptons, the cops pulled him and a friend over, leading to a bid in the Suffolk County Correctional Facility. After a stint in jail, Simmons got serious about rapping and began selling mixtapes to build a fan base.
Home of the brave, suckers acting like they want it, end up in the grave. Say what? I'm DMX, but my name ain't Dave. Step to my title and I crash a wave. Building number 80, where I LIVE come through on the late night tip and you can see me.
In 1992, Columbia Records signed DMX to the Ruff House Records, where he released his debut single, Born Loser.
Their mothers don't want them to know me. My sisters used to like me, but now they call me homie. I used to have a family, now I'm out on my own.
Columbia Records didn't work out because
I thought he was signing Def Jam though,
and all the money was pouring into the promotion of guys like Criss Cross and other future stars.
And get a hungry crew, niggas that ain't never had and doing bad will be glad to get up off they stoop looking sad.
Suge Knight wanted to sign him at the time, but the deal didn't appeal to him. Puff Daddy at first turned him down because of his rough voice, but later changed his mind. And when he did,
I remember DMX spoke about that. I remember DMX spoke
it was
about
already
that.
too late, as he had gone to Def Jam.
Yeah, I know it's
1998
tripping.
was the breakthrough year for the rapper. At first, he released the single Get At Me Dog.
Get at me, dog. Get at me, dog.
And then the debut album, It's Dark and Hell Is Hot, was released in May of 1998, and it debuted at #1 on the Billboard chart.
As a no stop. Oh, oh. Enough I'm a creeper, little hood rat, bitch for 25th, named Tamika.
He
You
released
know,
his
get
second
my
album
ball,
the
come
same
on.
year, Flesh of My Flesh, Blood of My Blood, which went certified platinum 4 times.
Yo, this good thing I seen is because now I got a question. What's up with all the artists doing covers like this? Like back in the days, what's up with all the artists doing covers like this and tubs and shit like that? Like, was it some type of trend or something like that? Because I don't know, he my favorite rapper, but it looked kind of weird to me. But every rapper just having a cover like that or having something similar to that back in the days. Y'all let me know if y'all know.
It sold a whopping 670,000 copies in its first week, and also debuted at #1 on the Billboard chart.
Hey, yo, I'm slipping.
Forward, I can't get up. I'm slipping. Forward, I see it up.
I got blood on my hands and there's no remorse. I got blood on my dick cause I fucked the corpse. I'm a nasty nigga.
DMX
Yo, he
is
was
so
wild.
charismatic.
Got issues with the industry. What's going down with the industry,
The
dog?
industry is full of a bunch of dick sucking, dick riding, bending over the desk ass niggas, straight up like that. Whoever don't like it, bring it, nigga. Bring it. I don't give a fuck. Bring it. Bring it.
Damn.
Chillin', thugged out niggas, you know what I'm saying? What up? You know, no smiles, no. It's nothing to smile about, nothing to laugh about. Niggas is hungry, for real.
So it doesn't come as
Okay.
a surprise that he began acting in films like Belly, Romeo Must Die,
Classic.
and Exit Wounds.
I say sorry.
Sorry,
'Cause you hurt
and my feelings.
My baby.
Daddy, I knew you'd find me.
Wasn't
So good.
wasn't that his goddaughter? I think what's her name? Paige Heard. She playing Power 2.
Another one.
Sorry.
What do you think you're doing?
Hey, you! Could you turn off the
Dog, I meet women.
Discreet women.
Street women. Slash. Cocoa Puff,
Sweet
sweet
women.
women. Oh, make me
Lose my mind. Up there, up there. Go baby.
He went on to
go
release
out.
2 more hit albums, The Great Depression and Grand Champ.
Give it to you. Give it to you.
By the way, The name of this album is connected to the death of his grandmother, who, as we already know, was one of the few who really cared and loved Little Earl Simmons.
Same. Hear your name, Mariella Holloway.
Who's the winner?
DMX.
DMX! Why DMX?
Even after DMX became a global star and he made millions of dollars, his
still
criminal
had
habits
problems.
never went away. Throughout his music career, the rapper had problems with the law and with health, which greatly harmed his work. Between 2000 and 2001, he served time for possession of marijuana, driving without a license, and assault for throwing objects at prison guards. In 2002, after a failed attempt in rehab, he pleaded guilty to 13 counts of animal cruelty, 2 counts of maintaining a nuisance, and 1 count each of disorderly conduct and possession of drugs. Eventually, he was released and had to pay fines and do community service, and also star in public service announcements against the dangers of guns and animal abuse. In 2004, he was arrested for cocaine possession, criminal impersonation, possession of drugs, criminal mischief, menacing, and driving under the influence of drugs and alcohol. He claimed to be a federal agent to carjack a vehicle. At the end of the year, he was given a conditional discharge, but pleaded guilty on October 25, 2005 to violating parole and was sentenced to spend 70 days in jail. All this took a toll on his career, with Year of the Dog again selling 125,000 copies in its first week, marking it the first time that an album of his doesn't debut at #1 on the Billboard chart.
Yeah, that song is yes.
DMX's
And
popularity
he won the whole
gradually
hood out, too.
declined. Fans began to become disillusioned with their idol. In 2008, he was charged for drug possession and animal cruelty again because he barricaded himself inside his home in Arizona. At the end of the year, he pleaded guilty to charges of drug possession, theft, and animal cruelty, and spent 90 days behind bars. On May 22, 2009, he entered a plea agreement for attempted aggravated assault. The following year, he served 4 months for violating probation and was released on July 6, 2010. After he was out of jail, he
I
got
wish he
offered a
could've just stayed
television
out the
pilot
way.
that would follow his recovery. The filming had begun, but X got arrested 3 weeks later, and the development of the series had been canceled. On July 27, 2010, he turned himself into the Los Angeles Metropolitan Court for reckless driving he committed in 2002. After he served another 90 days in prison, it didn't take him long to get arrested again for violating probation due to alcohol consumption at a concert performance. He was moved to the mental health unit of the Arizona State Prison and spent 7 months there. Now, back to music again. In 2012, the rapper released his new album called Undisputed. The numbers got even worse. It sold only 17,000 copies in its first week and debuted at number 19.
Go against the grain, the swagger's reckless. 612, smack it, grab his necklace, and go and respect it. The dancer, they got this move to the beat. Sit there, nod my head, but won't move my feet. Gangster, so I'm holding up.
That's
So
it.
what's the thing though? He's supposed to move around a little thing. What's this?
No, this is the laptop.
Like many struggling with addiction, DMX suffered his fair share of moments of recovery and relapses. In 2011, the hip-hop icon had a stint of sobriety and accredits his children for this motivation to stay sober. Unfortunately, his sobriety didn't last very long, and his battle with substance abuse persisted. In 2016, DMX's addiction to crack cocaine and other...
Am I wrong? Is Paige Heard his daughter or his goddaughter? Let me know.
illicit drugs took a turn for the worse when he was found unconscious from an overdose outside a hotel in New York. When police arrived on the scene, DMX was not breathing, and medics had to administer Narcan, an emergency medication used to treat opioid overdoses. Luckily, DMX became semi-conscious.
Ain't it that thing they stick in your neck? Sorry to keep pausing. Ain't that thing they stick in your neck?
And was rushed to the hospital to receive treatment. Later in 2018, the rapper was on trial for 14 counts of tax fraud and relapsed on cocaine and oxycodone after leaving a court-ordered addiction treatment program. Due to this, the judge ordered DMX to be remanded to jail pending his trial. After pleading guilty on all counts, DMX was sentenced to 1 year in prison and 3 years of supervised release.
Right at home in the dirt and trenches, first offenses, first and seconds, like when I'm wrong with the worst offenses, since the slaughters, he go over the door and everybody got it.
The rapper was ordered to pay $2.3 million in restitution to the government and
Damn.
enroll in another outpatient addiction treatment program upon his release. Because of all this, DMX recovered and began to look worse. But the energy he had in live performances remained just as it was, that even Snoop Dogg was shocked.
Shit.
That was that one.
That was the one me and my niggas go crazy for.
That was
nigga.
that one.
He took her home and stole out of her bag.
Right.
That's the G shit right there. Go
That was
bag, purse first, ass last.
So he took a
One more
home and
fact that
stole out
not
her
many
bag.
people know is that ASAP Rocky and Skepta's Praise the Lord was inspired by DMX's Who We Be.
I saw, I came, I saw, I praise the Lord and break the law. The hugs, the love, the slugs, the funerals, the wakes, the churches, the coffins, the heart.
In October of 2019, the singer and songwriter took to social media to announce the cancellation of his upcoming concerts to return to rehab once again.
If I was to drop it right now, my last thought would be, I've had a good life.
But on April 9, 2021, DMX officially died of a cocaine-induced heart attack that caused
Damn,
circulatory
it's been that long?
problems in his brain. An analysis of Simmons' urine showed the presence of cocaine. The medical examiner's office did not perform an autopsy, as they determined the cause of death based on documentation furnished by medical professionals and police, the source said. The source explained that someone had called for emergency help at 10:03 p.m. on April 2nd, and paramedics were dispatched 1 minute later. They arrived on the scene at 10:09 p.m. and started trying to revive Simmons at 10:10. There was about a 30 to 40 minute interval between the arrival of paramedics and Simmons' arrival at the hospital. Although his heart was revived at one point and there was a pulse, his brain was already dead. The last album, which was released after his death, is called Exodus, which received positive reviews from music critics.
Around here, nigga, we grown. Start applying pressure. Give a dog a bone. I'm taking half. It's my dog, yeah. That's my dog, yeah. That's my dog, yeah. That's my dog, yeah.
This was a story of DMX. Thanks everyone for watching.
Son.
Subscribe to the channel. And I hope-
Man, shout out to my boy Music Vibe once again. You feel what I'm saying? I wish you upload more, bro. You know what I'm saying? But I know everybody got their personal life and stuff like that to deal with. You know what I'm saying? I just wanted to let you know I'm still tapped in. But with that being said, rest in peace to DMX. My condolences to his family. Appreciate all the love and support. Love is love, and I'm gonna catch you on the next video.